the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, the first thing we have to do is appoint an acting board clerk because our board clerk is unable to be here because of weather. I need somebody to make a motion to appoint Dr. Reardon.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 All those against? Moves 3-0.
I am honored, thank you.
Okay. Gotta get your notes caught up.
Yes, just for a quick review, motion was second.
Yep.
Are you goofing up already?
It's color coded too, and I still.
Carried 3-0.
Oh,
The pressure.
You gotta start all over again.
Yes.
Oh, you got snow in your hair.
She's got snow in her hair. It must be coming down
No, it's
harder
coming
now.
down.
It is. The roads are covered.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, it's sticking.
all right.
Okay, so we'll get right to this. If you could take
Feel free to
attendance,
leave
Dr.
if you
Reardon.
get
I'd be honored to. Miss Castle,
Here.
Mr. Hirakawa,
Here.
Mr. Lanacey,
Hello.
Mrs. Mack,
Here.
Mr. Strang.
Okay. 1.2, review of agenda, additions to the agenda. I believe the only, not really addition, but a subtraction from the agenda is we are going to reschedule Mrs. Hertelbetz, Mrs. Hertelbetz, CSE, CPSE coordinator, to a night when it's not so snowy. Is that correct?
That is, yes. And as you know, one of our goals this year as a district to kind of do updates from our coordinators. So really her presentation was just more of an update. And so her goal is to update multiple times throughout the year. So she'll just pop in December and probably again in February and March. So just kind of an update of the state of the state. So
Excellent. Okay, 1.3, approval of minutes from previous meetings. We have had one, October 18th, 2018. I need someone to make a motion.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? 1.4, acceptance of financial reports. We have three. We have the internal claims auditor's report for October 2018. We have the monthly treasurer's report for budget transfers. And we have the school tax report for 2018-19. I need someone to make a motion.
Moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
just to point out, you notice the tax collection data from Denise, and it just basically reflects everything that we collected. And you'll see that that's actually not bad. We collected for over 4.2 million ourselves, and that left 178,000 that the county will collect. That was just those that paid after or did not make the deadline of paying here. So that just gets forwarded to the county for collection. And again, just a few things like insufficient checks and things like that, but very minor in the grand scheme of things. So
I think that's great that many people actually get on time.
absolutely. And I will say her attendance, she does Wednesday night payments,
Yep.
and that's been a much bigger hit this year. So.
Good. So, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those against? 1.5, visitors and communications. Communications to the Board of Education. I have not received anything. I think anybody else has. Sharon's not here to ask if there's anything we might not have received. Opportunity for the public to be heard. Looking at the book, nobody signed up. We'll have an opportunity later. Anybody would like to speak?
Are made public.
2.0, reports to the Board of Education. 2.1, Board of Education reports and updates. I guess this would be a good time for us to talk. Dr. Reardon and I attended the most recent planning board meeting. There's a potential for 184 condos to be built within our district, and we thought it was important to hear that. see what the plan was. As of right now, the planning board has sent the developers to the different agencies, the DOT, because it's on a state road, the fire district. They're supposed to meet with us, and I believe you did speak with them. So it looks like it probably won't be as big as they were initially planning, but there will be a lot. Do you want to talk more about after speaking to the developer?
Sure. I just have to throw on record as well. I did meet with the developer. It is a relatively new. It's basically a corporation formed, for the purposes of building that development, and then it will dissolve once that's built. It is proposed as 184 units or 46 buildings of 4. Most likely, as Andy said, that will be reduced probably, just by roadways, things like that. The town probably recommend they build less buildings, if you will. Let's say they want to build 46, but obviously it just might get reduced. But I did speak with the representatives from that company, the corporation. I did say, our concerns in a good way are we are doing very well. Our enrollment is pretty solid, almost probably to capacity or pretty close. But overall, we want to know what this impact will be. So the goal is just a 5-year project with the goal of breaking ground next summer or fall with phase 1 and kind of building through with ending in 5 years. But also statistically speaking, in the Capital District, they do say, and actually the data was produced for that condos of this nature, 2-floor units, or sorry, single-floor units with like 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, single or double-car garage, 2 to 3 bedrooms, pretty much appeal to a very certain niche of the population that typically is about 3 to 5% of those that have children. So meaning that and they actually compare to the pastures, which is a good comparison. The pastures is actually our basement units, and they are larger. We don't draw a lot of children from the pastures per se. It kind of appeals to either an older population, single population, maybe a second home for some, but especially units that are on second floors. So they just found, statistically speaking, in the Capital Region, this type of market, they said, is very popular, but not popular with, for example, the typical 2.5 children kind of family unit, so to speak. So 3 to 5%, that could be 6 to 7% for us, but I will say, if that does follow the trend, it's not as alarming as 184 units, each with 2 children. But I did ask if I could be paired up with the agent. They will have one exclusive agent once that starts, so that as those units are sold or at least looked at, we can see if the statistics are proven true. Meaning that's 3 to 5% based on a Capital Region study. But on the same token, if this is a fluke and something we're noticing, okay, every home being sold is being sold to someone with a 5 or 6-year-old, then we need to obviously be thinking about that as our plan. So this does help data-wise, but obviously data can be skewed if that happens. But I will say it was a little bit comforting. We should see an increase in our population, our tax base, but not this. They're not individual single-family homes that would definitely be drawing families.
Where is that land? What land is it?
It's the land actually right behind the school, across Whitefield, where
There's a little pull out
On the
the
there.
little,
side.
yeah, right at the bend.
Okay.
That first bend.
Where it's kind of vacant now and it goes
Yep.
back
Yep.
there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Looks like it kind of drops off, so they must
It does.
be-
There's a bit of a ravine there, and I think there's
Gotcha.
they had to have the Army Corps of Engineers in there, and some of it has been deemed wetlands that they can't disturb. So I believe that the ravine is rather steep, so they're going to have some challenges.
Yeah.
I think when you go to an architect, they'll plop a building every so often, but I think once they get into it, it's probably not going to be as big as they want.
The market information was provided. Did they provide you with the study of the Capital District?
They did not provide the whole study. I do have a photocopy of the kind of breakdown of single-family homes, townhomes, apartments, and kind of what they find percentage-wise. And actually, I did leave that, I think, on the table in the office, so I can give you guys a copy of that. So, and I did ask for the full study that say they would share. And this is one of many conversations we'll be having. Because again, if this development does get reduced to, it could be reduced to 30 buildings, let's say, because the town decides it's better egress for fire trucks, things like that. So as this develops, again, it hasn't been approved yet. This is all the preliminary stages. They're going to certainly be in touch. This will be kind of one of many conversations.
Yep. I think the next meeting is scheduled for December 3rd, and Dr. Ritter and I are planning on attending that also. So
It's a public meeting?
they are public meetings at the town hall. That's that. That wasn't really on the agenda, but it is a Board of Ed update. So, as we said in the beginning, 2.1A, we are going to reschedule. 2.1B, Scott Prusser, External Claims Auditor. You're up.
Thank you. Before I go through your financial overview, I just wanted to go over a couple things. You'll if you looked at the financial statement, it will be a little bit different this year. GASB 75 came into effect, so if you look at Don't Be Shocked, what they did is put the whole OPEB number, which is the retiree's health insurance number that's determined, you get an actuary to do it. So they put in the past they had it where it was amortized over 30 years and it was a smaller number. Yours was, last year was 2.9 million. Now it's 10.9 million. But what that is now, it shows like the whole, that's your whole retiree's health insurance. So it's kind of more a disclosure, transparency thing that you see it all in the front. It used to be way back when they first had it was just a note in the financials, how much you paid a year for retirees' health. And then they said, oh, we'll make more disclosure, so we put it in there, and like you said, amortize over 30 years. And then, like they said, now they have it where it's right on the front, and now yours, like you said, yours is now 10.9 million. But you're following every other district had it, New York State had it. So GASB 75 impacted everybody. So if you look at your district wide, and you're like, oh geez, our net position went from I think 9 down to 2 million. What it was because of the OPEB number in GASB 75. So just a quick note on that. The district financial statements were presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. You have an unmodified opinion, no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, and no areas of non-compliance. Your extra classroom audit had an unmodified opinion, and there was a couple recommendations on that, as you see. That will change. Probably, like I said, the advisor that was doing it is not anymore. So it was better, but there was still items with it. So yeah, you don't have any.
It was better.
Yeah, you didn't.
It was better.
Yeah, better. Yeah, it was better. And in your major, your financial statement, you see there was no comments there, but like I said, there was a couple with the extra classroom. And so looking at your financial, looking at the district, I did a summary there, so you don't have to flip through all 70 pages. Looking where you're at, your asset to liability ratio 3.3 to 1, 3.1 to 1, and 2.92 to 1. So it went down slightly this year, if you look at that, but you used $500,000 of your capital reserve towards the capital project, which was planned. That's the reason you have the capital reserve. So that's the reason you set up these reserves, to use it for things that you don't anticipate, and that's why you have to use it. And looking at overall your reserves, you look there below. You still have employee benefit accrued liability. You still have some left in the capital reserve. You have insurance reserve, unemployment insurance reserve, workers' compensation, and employee retirement contribution, and tax surcharge. So you still have a good amount of reserves. And the only thing we had talked, and then that was doing the repair reserve in the future, especially even though you're just like, oh geez, we just got done with a capital project, why do I need a repair reserve? But a lot of stuff doesn't get covered under the scope of the project, as you probably know. Once you get done, hey, we got everything in the project, and when you get done with everything, it's like a lot of it's cut back. And the repair reserve is great. A lot just are using it again is that it can be used to repair like anything in the building or anything. It also applies to equipment too. So if you have a piece of equipment that goes down, a repair reserve that money can be used to replace it. And all you have to do, once the voters approve how much, you tell them, you put out how much you want to put into it. All you have to have is a public hearing to use that funds, and then it doesn't come out of your budget. So it's it's a very wise one to have. Like I said, especially even though you have a capital project done, there's always things that need to be repaired. And then, like I had one that used it towards, they had to use it for a pickup truck with a plow. There was went during plowing in the winter, and had that repair reserve, and they were able to replace it. Had a public hearing, and then was able to use the funds to like I said, replace it. So that's definitely one to think about. Besides having your reserves, you put money towards taxes, and you have the 4% fund balance. You look at the next page, it showed that you had a deficiency of revenues to expenditures, but like the $500,000 was the biggest. You used $500,000 from the capital reserve. So if you didn't have that, then you would have been ahead a little bit this year. How you got there? Your revenues were $52,000 higher than what was budgeted. I think the budget was pretty good. You're pretty close on a lot of the revenues, which is pretty good. The only one is miscellaneous, which that one's hard to determine because it's refunds of prior years, refunds from BOCES, and there's no set amount on those. Those change from year to year, and that was when you end up getting over 50,000 more than what was budgeted. And everything else, state aid was slightly lower than what was budgeted, like $3,000, but everything else was really close. On your expenditure side, you did have a little bit of room in it. You spent 97% of your budget, so it was a little bit more than last year, but it's still in a good range that you had, a little bit of leeway in it. Your employee benefits was the one that you had came a little bit lower than budgeted. So based on that, that's how you were able to still, put money towards other reserves and still have your 4%. And that's what we like to see, is that you're able to, you have a strong financial condition, with reserves, fund balance, and that you're able to, maintain adequate facilities and have resources to provide the programs to the kids, and over a long period, not just, in the short term. Your budget overall is well planned and balanced. Your cash position is still strong. It was slightly lower than last year, but overall your cash position was strong. Another part was, it does look like a negative, but your school lunch program had an operating loss of $18,000, or almost $19,000, but it was because you purchased equipment, which was over $19,000. So it was actually great because you reinvested in the program without general fund having to buy the equipment for the program, and you don't supplement your program at all. You don't, like most of our other districts, general fund pays the school lunch program to keep it balanced, covers the benefits. Your program is self-sufficient and takes care of itself, and buy your own equipment. That's great. So looking at that, you did have a loss, but it was, like I said, was to buy that, and then your fund balance is still healthy with over 61,000 in it. And then last year you had an operating profit of 15,000. So looking at that, that's another positive. And the other one is in your debt service. You have over $213,000 to be used for future debt payments. So that's something that when you're looking at budgeting is that you can use money from the debt service to help pay for the principal and interest. So you have a bunch of positive areas. It was I thank the district office because they do a great job throughout the year. Anytime there's questions that come up, they're Bellevue, or Tom, or email. We use the email and say, "Oh, I got a question on this." So that's why if something something comes up during the year, instead of waiting until after, you can't do anything about it, we help out throughout the year, take care of it. Get any questions about reserves or fund balance or anything? Same with extra classroom. So, and they did a great job. They said there's a lot of data that goes into the report. You see every year it gets longer and longer. But they did a great job of getting it, and giving you the number, figures, so you can make good decisions.
Anybody have any questions for Scott?
Sounds like good news.
Just
Also,
want to throw out there too, again, Scott, thank you. Scott's very, again, easy to work with. Again, as much as it's a yearly audit, we do talk a lot, which is great for us anyway, so thank you. But also it does kind of validate our budgeting process. We kind of do things conservatively because, so again, we were able to add the pre-K this year, but that's because we added the one class versus the two, because that's why we're in that kind of good financial state to maintain, rather than other districts that add and have to cut the next year, that kind of thing. So we're in very solid fiscal shape, and also, again, it is actually, to me, very impressive to see we're in that very solid space. If you notice, even with the, you did motion, if you recall, back in September, to make a repair reserve, so that will be on the ballot this May. You made a motion to establish that. Also be my recommendation, once we close out the capital project, you see there's 385 or so, or I'm sorry, 358 in the capital project reserve left. We still have to close out this project, and obviously once we do that, I would suggest, and we can talk about that later, any remaining money we use to set up our next capital project. So if there's 100,000 left or 200,000 left, we should use that to set up our next capital project reserve, so we can start adding to that in future years.
Sounds like a plan.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out.
No problems.
Let's drive home safely. 2.1C, April 2019 regular Board of Education meeting date. So, do you want to talk about this on Dr. Ritter?
Sure. Is it right to see Sharon did include just a copy of the April district calendar. One of the pieces that you might notice, we passed the budget calendar and also the Board of Ed meeting. It just was two things that didn't overlap. and it was a great catch by Sharon, was we do have a Board of Education meeting scheduled for April 18th. You'll notice it's also the 8th grade class trip, and it does kind of coincide around the time when we do, ideally, our budget passes from the state level April 1st. Last year, again, it was pretty close to that. So the point is, we do need to act this month. It's kind of one of those very important months. My suggestion would be to perhaps move the meeting to the 11th, just because, again, I will not be available because I will be in DC with the kids. So while you could have the meeting without me, I just would think that'd be a meeting we'd want to really, adopt our budget so that we're ready for the budget hearing in May. So I would suggest the 11th. The 4th would be a quick turnaround time if we have any kind of quick decisions we need to make. Remember, we're going to talk about this from February, March, April on, but that's that kind of last minute, Monday, April 1st, ideally, is when we find out our bottom line and what are we adding, what can we include, that kind of thing. So I would say the 4th would be a quick turnaround time if we have to make some decisions. The 11th would be probably a solid day where we could say this is our final overall number. Now, remember, that doesn't mean what we allocate couldn't change, but that's where we need to kind of have an overall, what is our budget, 9 point what million, so to speak. So I was just maybe looking at moving the board meeting to the 11th,
Okay.
if that was okay with you guys, unless you wanted to proceed.
Why is that week crossed out on the calendar? Was that have any significance?
I think she was attempting to highlight,
Oh, okay.
I think,
Those were all good days.
but, oh yes, that's right. I think that was, say we could meet Monday, the 8th, 9th, 10th, or 11th. I mean, I was just for simplicity.
okay.
We go the 11th, you could go any day. I mean, if you wanted to meet April
Okay.
8th, we could, that kind of. Good point, yes, I think that was her coding.
I just didn't know if it was, I didn't want to conflict with something else that was there.
Oh, great question.
So we'll move it to the 11th?
Do you know, do we need to act, or is that just something we just do? Just notify the public that we decided to change it?
I think it's probably, I'd act on it because you did adopt the list of board meetings in the July board meeting. So you're just maybe making a motion to amend the calendar to reflect the April 11th board meeting date.
Okay.
Would be how I do it.
I will make a motion to amend the Board of Education meeting calendar and change the April meeting date from April 18th to April 11th. Second. Keith will second that.
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Okay. 2.2, District/Superintendent Program Report. Before I hand it over to you, I just want to commend you for yesterday. Yesterday was a mess for everybody, and I think that you did the best you could with all the information you had at the time. And I just want to commend you and the other superintendents that our high schoolers go to doing the best that they could. It was a horrible situation for everybody. So
What do you say?
Huh?
What do you say?
He's
Great
commending
job.
Dr. Reardon for yesterday, for the decision, how we handled the
Absolutely.
freak little snowstorm or ice
It's a tough
storm
call.
that came through.
I'm hearing
And
just
the
a
last
blower,
minute.
so I apologize.
We, if I may say, thank you, that means a lot. I will say, we met, some of us this morning, and all of us were like, what happened? Meaning in terms of the roads are fine at 4, they're fine at 5, and then suddenly, some ice coupled with a few bad decisions drivers made to back up what seemed like every possible artery in the Capital District made it a very unique situation of, is it traffic? Is it accidents that's causing the delays? It was,
well, I think with both the Dunn Memorial Bridge and the Patroon Island Bridge, with them both being closed in both directions, everybody was trying to get to Manans to get across the river. So all of Rensselaer County was this part of Rensselaer County was kind of shut down.
Yeah, but Chalmont, they were all shut, everything was shut down. There was.
Yeah, it seems like there was accidents.
Chalmont had an elementary bus off the road for hours.
Yeah.
I
North
don't
was a
know what
mess.
happened.
I
You
think
lost a fire hydrant in front of your
I
house.
lost my fire hydrant.
It was just one of those freaky snow squalls that came through. Nobody
Wasn't that
was
one-
expecting it. DOT
Wasn't that one
didn't
hit
salt
like 2
down.
years ago too or something?
That was my mailbox or my fence.
Oh, yes.
Or it could have been the fire hydrant. I don't know. There's accidents there all the time. I really need to have them investigated.
Note to self, I'm not driving that road going
Don't come
tonight.
down my road.
we'll stay away from that.
Yes. So with all that said, I will hand it over to you. For
That means a lot. Thank you so much. And actually, that was what I was just going to touch on because of the weather was just basically the building piece that we discussed. And actually, I'll pass this sheet. I gave one to Keith. But this was the quick study. You'll notice Rensselaer County is not represented. Just to go back to the housing piece. It has Saratoga and Albany, but they were using this. Remember, this is a company formed of 2 people of kind of a rough piece of where they were kind of getting their data, but that was just one piece they did share. So other than that, I would say just the weather pieces, we did send a letter through the e-news and also on our website. We didn't put it on social media just because we felt, regarding the weather, we didn't felt it necessitated any comments from the public, meaning it kind of was a process that, as much as we can't predict, it's a process that we're very proud of, meaning even tonight and tomorrow we'll be doing the same thing. You know, the safety piece, the superintendents and I, just to lay out there and on the record too, we do speak to each, that's why my phone is out, I apologize, but it is, we're constantly talking to one another, the highway superintendent, the police, we are kind of in tow with those pieces. So when we do make a decision, it is made with about 3 or 4 hours of thought behind it. So even though it might come across like, oh, it went out at 6 a.m., it probably was a 2 or 3 a.m. decision when we start talking on the phone and we have the conference calls and like that. So thank you for your support in that, and we try to at least educate the community the best we can that it really is made entirely with safety in mind. It's certainly not to save a day or to get the buses on the road. It really, every decision is made with the best information we have. So thank you so much for that. And we'll be doing the same thing tonight and tomorrow, and that will be very exciting. And other than that, just some pieces, obviously, of busing. I just think, speaking of safety, one of the pieces the district is working on, we will put out something a little more formal when we get a little closer, is, as you can recall in the media across the country, there's been some pieces of children being hit by reckless motorists, basically either crossing the road, and in some cases, whether they're crossing the road when they're getting on or off the bus, or on the same side, basically motorists having a lack of attention to the fact that signs are out or kids are getting off. So we are actually in the process of looking at alternative routes for any students that currently do cross, especially with the priority being any main road. So at this point now, we've eliminated all crossing of anyone that's on what we consider a major artery road. Now, side streets that are kind of, in essence, the bus monopolizes the whole street, the goal is to limit that as well, but that's a secondary piece. Sometimes it really is impossible to turn a big vehicle around on like a side street, for example, like, I'm throwing out the, like Riker, if I may throw out there. That's a very difficult road to kind of do a turnaround, but we consider that a safer, not that we want to cross, the goal is to eliminate all of them, and obviously going into next year, that will be the goal when we do an entire reroute, but that's a safer, more comfortable route we're crossing with than, for example, Maine, Cameron, anything that has a speed limit that's not, and the bus can't truly block the vehicle. So we've narrowed it down to everything but about 5 students, and those families have been extended invitations to be rerouted. Now that might mean an earlier pickup time or a drop-off time difference. So again, the family does have the right to choose. They might say, we have to get to a lesson, so we're going to elect to cross. We will accept them. But those families have been extended that invitation. It's just a matter of some of them are thinking it over. It might change their route time by 20 minutes or so, something like that. But at this point, any major student on a major road that we've identified in some of those messages we discussed, Cameron, Whiteview, anything that is, has a double line, there will not be any crossing.
I know some of those side streets are kind of tough because I think some of the kids,
Yeah.
they meet at a central point, and so, they all just kind of come with their parents.
But we'll look at it for next year.
Absolutely. When we look at this, and basically the only thing that precludes this is just the turnaround. Sometimes, if you're going, and you guys know the streets better than I do, if you're going into a very narrow or reasonable street, the key is how do you get out if you're in a full-size vehicle. So if there's a turnaround point, can you turn around or can you, do you have to go all the way back
Around
and
the
up? So,
block, yeah.
So it is possible if you reroute. What we're trying to do is within our current routes do that without, of course, changing an entire structure.
Sure.
But the point being that all major crossings on major roads are eliminated, and then any remaining, which would be probably 3 or 4 tops if that, are either because of parental choice, meaning they want that crossing, or it's a true, I hate to compare it, it's a roadway perhaps the size of our walkway here, or the size of our driveway here, where the bus stops and there's at least control. The bus driver has complete vision of front and back, and you're not having unpredictable cars come out of nowhere. So
I was happy to see the little first grader that was getting off in my house and crossing Brookside. Her, mom or dad or grandparent would be there, but now she's getting Miss Keegan, she's on Miss Keegan's bus coming this way and drops her off on the same side of the road, which is perfect. But just yesterday when Nancy got there to pick up the kids, I had my back talking to her and she lays on the horn. A gray SUV went flying past the bus with its sign out. I didn't get the full license plate. I was hoping it turned into St. Jude's and I was going to follow it down there, but they didn't turn in. They kept whizzing by, so I don't know what's going to make people stop. It's crazy.
it is, and again, it's still scarily, as you know, human error in this case becomes, if they're texting, if there's something, and that's when it becomes that too late piece. So if we can eliminate that, or at least make it so that that driver coming out of nowhere is
Right.
not a danger, at least on that side. I mean, to say it doesn't change the fact that that one incident that happened on the right side of the road, meaning, but whatever we can do. So once we got to have everything firmed up, that we know that the families that still are crossing have elected, meaning that's also in writing as well. We elect to cross because we need to get to, piano at this time, so we can't afford a 30-minute change either way. Okay, but that's in writing that's there. So.
I was thinking too, is there, I was thinking of like ways you know, are like campaign kind of things that you could do. I mean, people should know not to, they should stop for a school bus. However, you know, reminders are always nice. And the only thing I can think of that we mail out yearly is the budget newsletter. And I didn't know if we could put like a little ad
Oh, sure.
or something on the front, like before, you know, when they go to open
Oh, yeah.
it, like, don't forget to stop for school buses.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Oh, actually, and that's a win-win because that's going to everybody already. You know, and they
Yeah,
read it because they
that's
want
what
to
I
see something
mean.
else, so it's not just white noise of a reminder. Yeah, that's a really good
Yeah,
idea.
just as, so we'll try to all remember that in March when we're constructing it, or April, February, whenever it is, but.
Great
I
idea.
was thinking that, and then maybe, you know, seeing how much it costs to have a billboard up, you know, like in August, maybe PTA could sponsor that in August when the kids are going back to school. I don't know how much a billboard, I have no idea, and they're down in Wynesville, they never seem to change. They seem to have the same, so I don't know, but it's just another thought that I had.
Not
We need to do some sort of campaign in our own town about stopping for school buses.
That would be
Maybe even contacting the town, having something go up on
Word.
their message board that, you know,
Yeah.
rotates messages.
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah. well, good.
But I think that's a great idea for what we're putting out, and also some great partnership things with PTA, very constructive things for PTA to work on. That'd be great. I can bring that up at our next meeting.
Oh, good, thanks. On a campaign kind of thing.
Okay. I don't see Dr. Yotis tonight, I'm assuming because of weather. Are you doing the principal's report, or?
You know, I am. She is not present, but I just will say that, as you know, since our last meeting, we've had a couple different pieces. I will say the biggest piece has been our conference days have been our biggest change in the calendar this year. That was a big hit, having the extra half day and the full day of conferences. Well, that was a very big hit to offer families 2 opportunities. And other than that, as you can probably know by living it with your children and grandchildren, it's just been difficult pieces. End of the quarter, we have a great PTA. I know Darcy probably will touch on the PTA movie night, the 7th movie night.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we had our first middle school dance. So all the school level pieces are functioning wonderfully. So.
Okay. Thank you. That's a good transition into 2.4, PTA, SEPTA.
I did not go to the PTA meeting.
I did not.
I forgot about it. so-
They would not have wanted me there.
They wouldn't have wanted you there? Me neither.
I did go. If it throws out there, I know there is a. Did you guys get the?
Yeah.
Rather not. So other than that, it basically was just kind of some planning. It's kind of some conversations about perhaps some future events, but nothing really that was put in stone. That was anything that would be other than what you're kind of seeing here, some pieces. So it was kind of just a larger group. So it was kind of some conversations of some ideas, some fundraising ideas, things like that, but nothing that was ever carried forward from that. So.
I just have to comment on the turkey shoot being scheduled the same night as the SEPTA event. SEPTA's had this event planned for months with speakers coming in, and I was very disappointed to see that it was scheduled on this. PTA and SEPTA should not be competing, and I think it's disheartening to think that, oh, well, maybe that's a different crowd that's going to want that, and we'll have this here. I'm not sure how it was allowed to happen. I mean, it's been on the books. Last month when Mary talked about it, it was, well, it's in the process, but nothing was set yet. So how does it go from nothing set to having to end up on the same night as an event that's been planned for months? Just very disheartening, and I don't think that shows that PTA is willing to work with SEPTA, and that's not a good thing from the administrative standpoint either. Just my 2 cents.
If it helps, though, too, just throwing out there, just speaking of that, is Jason McCord, our communications person, will be very heavily marketing the SEPTA event this weekend, and also we will be sending a personalized text using the text feature, not so it gets lost in the text that we might be sending out this weekend about delays and like that, but just for the SEPTA event, we'll be getting a SEPTA reminder through the
Yeah, I
text
mean,
message.
there's
So.
plenty of nights in the week. There were nights this week that were, there's plenty of other nights shouldn't conflict with another event that's already been planned. Bottom line. Rude. Sorry, but it is.
Get through it. Be all right.
Did you have anything you wanted to add for SEPTA?
Yeah, so obviously we have our big event Monday night. We're really excited. All 5 school districts and Questar are coming. I think I announced that at the last board meeting. We are also adding, last year we did like an Olympic theme night in the gym. I applied for the Get Off Your Apps grant with big PTA, but we didn't get it. But we still want to do like a night, for kids to come in and get some exercise and have it really tailored to special ed kids who maybe don't have the coordination to play basketball or do, that kind of sport. So Courtney Townsend, who's absolutely wonderful, did the Olympics last year. This year we're going to do like a Ninja Warrior course. So I'm really excited.
That would be
like balance
so
beam,
fun.
yeah, and tunnels. She's got the whole. She's like, I already have it all planned. So that's going to be Tuesday, January 15th, from 6 to 7:30. And then as another parent night, we have someone coming on February 5th to talk about the OPWDD and Medicaid process. So declaring your child disabled and getting them into the waiver program so that they can get like free summer camp, rehab services, community hab services, and things like that. That will really help them on in their home life. So they're coming life plan. The whole system changed July 1. So people are going to be very interested in the changes with Medicaid and OPWDD, and so we have a speaker coming. So hopefully that'll be good.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Anything like that?
No, and just that was, you would know the date, but it was definitely Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, gotcha.
Unless Sharon changed it. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, gotcha.
It is Tuesday.
Oh, gotcha.
Because I wanted Friday, but I forgot. I
Gotcha.
Fridays,
Just,
I just-
only because I thought I remember, but yes.
So it's the 15th, but it's 6 o'clock to 7:30. Early. That's bad. Let us know now. We haven't
Oh,
advertised.
no,
yet.
please, I just was, in my head, I was
I
saying.
didn't even make
think
the
it's-
event on Facebook yet. But yeah, we were looking at Fridays.
That's probably what was sticking in my head.
We were looking at Fridays, but then,
It doesn't exist on Facebook.
that's right. Once it exists on Facebook, it is
That's
in
gotta be
stone.
true.
But I think, nights during the week are
Oh,
good
yeah.
too, to get out and get exercise. And, then if 8th grade wants to do their movie night on Friday, they can, yeah, so it'll be good. We did it, I think, on a Wednesday or Thursday last year, and we had
What's that?
wonderful attendance. We had great
Oh, yeah.
attendance.
No,
So-
in my head, I decided to.
You had
this year.
Friday, I know. It's okay. Teachers, I think, will be happier it's not on Friday, because Courtney gets a whole bunch of teachers to help out. So they probably like their Fridays. Maybe.
I think you're right.
So, and talent show is coming, that'll be a Friday. That has to be a Friday, so. That's it.
Okay. Moving along, 3.0, appointments and authorizations. Going to do 3.1 through 3.6 as a consent agenda. 3.1, approve CSE, CPSE, the recommendations as per the attachment. 3.2, accept the 2017-18 external auditor's report. 3.3, accept the resignation of Carly BOE, teacher aide and basketball coach, effective October 22nd, 2018. 3.4, appoint Michael Mort as 6-month probationary full-time teacher's aide, effective November 7th, 2018, as per the WTAA contract. 3.5, approval of the 2019-20 Winesville Union Free School District budgeting calendar. Is that supposed to be 18-19? Yes, same. Okay, let's make that correction. Approval of the 2018-19 Winesville UFSD budget calendar.
No, I'm sorry. 'Cause
No, it
it's
is
a budget for the
19.
1920.
It is 19-20.
Yes, sorry.
For
Like
the
it's, we're
budget.
making the budget for 1920, but I
so
read it.
we're budgeting for next year.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
I
So
misread
Sharon does
too.
have it correct.
It is
Forgive us,
correct.
Sharon. 3.6, second reading and approval of policy, regulation, and exhibit number 0110, sexual harassment.
Okay, I'll motion to accept all of those.
Darcy
Oh.
motioned.
Oh, sorry, I was ready to do my report, sorry.
Yeah, I motioned to keep
It's a tough job.
Do you want to talk?
If you do, while we're rolling it, sorry. Oh, just to update, sorry, it's multitasking, this is crazy. So just to, you know, that's our new teacher aide who was hired just after the, 2 Fridays ago, who was able to start. It's been a fantastic addition to second grade, wonderful, the students love him, parents very communicative. And also, I think that captures everything there as well. Yes? Good.
Okay.
Okay. Would you like to call the roll?
I would. Ms. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lannacy?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
Not here.
Still
Make sure that's
driving.
not a no. It's a NA.
0.
Okay.
I'm gonna fire him for this.
I don't know why I have trouble with
This
this.
clerk.
We don't need any discussion on the calendar thing, right? That's all
No.
standard. Blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
I didn't think we
We didn't have anything from
Okay.
last time, so we're good.
Works for me.
4.0, informational. 4.1, our next regular meeting will be December 20th, 2018. 4.2, opportunity for the public to be heard. Does anybody has signed up?
Want to say anything before we close out? No?
Okay.
So disappointing.
There is no need for executive session, I don't believe. And adjournment. I just need somebody to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against?